English for Finance. Your key to money jobs. Introduction. Imagine you see news about money or get a bank paper. Words like money flow, special deals, or money rules might pop up and you feel confused. It's like listening to a secret talk. You know English, but this money talk feels different. Many people feel this way. It shows that the money world has its own special words. It's not just about numbers. It's about the exact words we use for them, for actions, and for choices. What if you could learn these words, understand this talk, and get ahead in your job? This book, English for Finance, Your Key to Money Jobs, will help you do just that. It's about learning the special words that make the money world work. You might think, I already know English. Is that not enough? Your general English is a great start. It's the base we will build on. But the money world uses words and phrases with very specific meanings. Think of a simple word like interest. In normal talk, it means you want to know about something. But in finance, interest has a clear meaning. It's the extra money you pay to borrow, or the extra money you get on your savings. This one word, with two meanings, shows how easy it is to misunderstand if you don't know the money context. Without this special language, you might not understand money reports well, make bad money choices, or have trouble talking clearly to others at work. This can mean missing chances to learn about the market or move up in your job. The reason for this is the special words, the exact words and phrases that make up money talk words. This is where English for Finance, Your Key to Money Jobs helps. Our goal is simple: to give you the important money words and understanding you need to feel sure when working with money and banks. We believe learning the special English words used in money and banking is very important for understanding money reports, bank actions, investments, and money news. Knowing this language helps you find and do well in jobs about money. In this book, we will make the money world's language easy to understand. We will show you how to understand money papers, know what banks do, understand investments, and follow money news clearly. This book is your guide to knowing money talk words, changing it from something confusing into a helpful tool that opens doors for better jobs and gives you the confidence to do well. So, who is this book for? It's for you if you want a job in money or banking, or if you work in this area and want to talk better. Maybe you want to change jobs and work with money, or you just want to understand money news and manage your own money better. This book is also good for people who don't speak English as their first language and want to work in money. No matter where you come from, understanding money talk words is a common challenge, and this book will give you the clear answers and skills you need. We believe that with the right knowledge, anyone can learn to speak the language of money. When you finish this book, you will have many useful skills. You will be able to read money papers and understand them, know what important banking words mean, and understand investment talk and market news. You will talk better in money talks and feel more ready for job interviews. You will understand world money events better and feel more in control of your money future. All of this comes from learning money talk words. You will learn the special words that explain the numbers, helping you take confident steps in your job. In the next parts, we will look closely at the main ideas and important words that are the base of money talk, making the money world easier to understand and your job dreams more possible. 1. Learning English for finance jobs. Imagine walking into a busy market. Many people are talking, but you only understand some of their words. They talk about prices, how good the food is, and what are the best deals. You see colorful fruits and vegetables and you feel the energy of the crowd. But because you don't know all the words, you feel left out. You can't join in fully or make the best choices. This is how it can feel for someone new to money and banks if they don't know the special words used there. Money and banking are mostly about taking care of money, helping it grow, and knowing where it goes. But they are also about people. They depend on talking, trusting each other, and understanding one another. Like any group of people, they have their own way of talking. They use special words that let experts talk about hard ideas quickly and clearly. We call these words financial English terms. These are the exact words and phrases used when talking about money, banks, and business. This includes words in money reports, words banks use when they do things, words for buying and selling things like stocks, and words to understand news about the economy. Knowing these special words is like having a secret code that helps you understand and do well in jobs about money. Think about it. If you want a job in finance, you will see job descriptions with words like asset management, risk assessment, liquidity ratios, or portfolio diversification. If these sound like a foreign language, how can you know if you are a good fit for the job, or how can you impress the person interviewing you? This is where learning financial English terms is very helpful. It's not just about knowing a few extra words. It's about getting the key that opens many doors. Let's picture this. Meet Sarah. Sarah was smart and wanted to learn. She was very interested in how businesses work. She applied for a starting job at a well-known investment company. She knew she was hardworking, but during the interview, the manager started talking about quarterly earnings reports and shareholder value. Sarah nodded, trying to guess what the words meant, but her answers were unsure, and she felt less confident. She didn't fully understand what the manager was asking about the company's bottom line or why diluted earnings per share were important. She left the interview feeling a bit sad, knowing she couldn't show everything she could do. A few months later, after she spent time learning the language of finance, Sarah applied for a similar job at another company. This time, when the interviewer talked about balance sheets and income statements, Sarah could not only understand but also ask smart questions about how these papers showed how well the company was doing with its money. She spoke with confidence about profit margins and how important working capital was. The interviewer saw that she communicated clearly and understood well. Sarah got the job, not just because she was eager, but because she could speak the language. Her story shows a simple truth. Knowing financial English terms helps you get a good job. It's the bridge that connects what you want to do with the chances you have. There are many kinds of money papers and situations where these special English words are very important. Think about a bank statement. It's more than just a list of money going in and out. Words like interest accrued, overdraft fees, or direct debit are needed to understand your money situation and avoid surprise charges. When you start investing, understanding a stock market report is very important. Phrases like bull market when prices usually go up and bear market when prices usually go down give you a quick idea of how people feel about the market. Knowing about dividends, a part of a company's profit given to people who own its stock, and capital gains profit made from selling something for more than you paid for it is important for making good choices about investing. Even simple tasks need these special words. When you ask for a loan, you will see words like principal, the first amount of money you borrow, amortization schedule, a table that shows how loan payments are split between the main loan amount and interest over time, and collateral, something valuable you give to the bank to ensure you will pay back the loan. If you don't understand these, you might agree to terms that are not good for you. In jobs, using the right words is even more important. Imagine a meeting where a financial expert is explaining how the company is doing. They might talk about revenue growth, cost of goods sold, operating expenses, and net income. If you don't know these words, you are missing the main point. You can't help much in the talk, understand important decisions, or even follow the conversation. Not knowing this makes a big problem. It can cause misunderstandings, mischances, and a feeling of always being behind. This problem isn't just about not getting a promotion. It can stop you from even getting an interview. Many job applications ask people to talk about their experience with certain money tasks, or to explain what they understand about money ideas. If your job application uses general words while others use the exact words recruiters expect, your application might be ignored. In interviews, someone who can confidently talk about financial forecasting or what happens when interest rates go up will stand out from someone who finds it hard to explain these things. The interviewer wants someone who can start working right away and understand the small details of the money world, and that starts with knowing the language. Besides finding a job and doing daily tasks, knowing financial English terms also helps you seem more capable and confident. When you can talk about money using the right words, you appear skilled and professional. This is very important in jobs where you meet customers. Whether you are helping someone choose a bank product or talking about investment plans with them, people are more likely to trust and feel comfortable with someone who speaks their language, especially when it's about something as important as money. Think about how confident you feel when you understand a difficult money news report. Instead of just looking at headlines and feeling confused, you can read articles about inflation, monetary policy, or GDP growth, and understand how they affect the economy and your own money. This deeper understanding helps you make better choices, whether it's about your savings or your career. It changes you from someone watching from the outside to someone who is part of it. The difference in understanding can be very big. On one side, you have someone trying to figure out a balance sheet, feeling lost with numbers and strange words. They might see assets, liabilities, and equity and feel worried. They might not know that assets are things the company owns, liabilities are what the company owes, and equity is what the owners have invested. On the other side, you have someone who sees these same words and immediately understands the basic rule of accounting: assets equals liabilities plus equity. They know that a healthy company usually has more assets than liabilities, and that equity is the value that belongs to the owners. This difference in understanding comes directly from knowing financial English terms. This knowledge isn't just for passing a test or impressing your boss. It's about being strong. It's about being able to move through the complex world of finance with clarity and purpose. It's about being able to explain your ideas, understand what you might gain or lose, and finally, reach your career goals in this changing field. Without this basic language, the doors to many good chances in finance and banking stay closed or only a little bit open. Learning these words is not an extra thing to do. It's the most important first step, the key that opens the whole chest of possibilities in the money industry. It turns confusion into clearness, doubt into confidence, and wanting something into getting it. Starting in the money world is like beginning a journey. You wouldn't go on a trip without a map and knowing how to read it. Financial English terms are your map. They guide you through the difficult paths of the market, help you understand signs from the economy, and lead you to your goal, a successful career in finance. Each word you learn is like a landmark on your map, making the area less scary and your progress more sure. It lets you understand the maps and compass readings that professionals use every day, from the trading floor to the manager's office. Think about all the different kinds of jobs in finance. You might want to be a financial advisor, helping people plan for their future. This needs understanding words like retirement planning, estate planning, insurance policies, and tax implications. Or maybe you are interested in the fast-paced world of investment banking, where you will need to know mergers and acquisitions and initial public offerings IPOs and leveraged buyouts LBOs. Even in jobs like a bank teller or a loan officer, you will need to understand words about account opening, transaction processing, customer service, and compliance regulations. Each area has its own details, but they all share a common language. Not knowing this language can affect more than just individual careers. In talks about the economy, understanding words like fiscal policy, government actions on spending and taxes, and monetary policy, central bank actions on interest rates and money supply is vital for people to understand government decisions and how they might affect them. When news talks about quantitative easing or inflationary pressures, a good understanding of financial English lets you go beyond a simple idea and understand the real meaning of these important economic events. This informed view is important for making good personal money choices and for taking part well in public discussions. Just learning these words helps your brain work in a special way. It trains your mind to think more clearly and carefully, which is what successful finance workers do. You start to see how different ideas connect, how things happen in money markets, and how to guess what might happen. This change in how you think is as important as the words themselves. It's the difference between just remembering words and truly understanding the ideas behind them. Think about the small but big difference in how information is given. When a money report says a company has increased its revenue by 15% year over year, this is exact and helpful. It tells you exactly how much the company's sales have grown compared to the same time last year. But if the report just said the company is doing better with sales, it would be unclear and not helpful. The exactness of financial English terms removes confusion and allows for clear, honest talking, which is the base of trust and good work in the money world. This exactness is also why financial English is so good for job interviews. When you can use words like synergies when two things together are better than each individually when talking about a merger, or due diligence, the careful checking of a possible investment or business deal, when explaining how you think, you are showing a level of skill that makes you stand out right away. It shows you have done your research, not just on the company, but on the language of the industry. The money world is always changing, with new products, new rules, and new economic trends appearing often. This means learning financial English is not something you do once, but something you keep doing. However, by learning the main terms, you build a strong base that makes it much easier to understand and learn new ideas as they come up. It's like learning the alphabet. Once you know it, you can read any word, even if you haven't seen it before. In the end, learning English for finance jobs is an investment in yourself. It's an investment that gives you more understanding, more confidence, and more job chances. It's about giving yourself the tools you need to not just get by, but to do very well in a field that shapes economies and affects lives. The journey might seem hard at first, but with each new word you learn, each idea you understand, you are getting closer to being a confident, capable, and successful worker in the money world. This special language is your ticket, and understanding it is the first, most important step to opening the door to your dream job. 2. Special words in finance. Imagine you are going on a trip to a new city. You have a map and you know where you want to go. But you do not know the names of the streets, the areas, or the signs you will see. You could walk around, but it would be slow and confusing. You might miss the best places. Now, think of that city as the world of money and business. Your general map is your basic idea of how business works. But the street names, the signs, and the special places are the special words that people who work with money use every day. Without these words, it is very hard to find your way. It is almost impossible to do well. That is why we are here, in this book. We are learning not just English, but English for money and business. We are getting the important tools, the special words, that will open doors for you. These words will help you feel sure as you move through the world of jobs about money. Think of this book as your special guide to understanding money talk. At its core, money and business is about knowing how money works, how it is handled, how it grows, and how it moves. But to really understand these ideas, to talk about them, and to work with them, you need more than just everyday words. You need the exact words that experts use. Just like a doctor needs words like heart or brain to talk about the body, someone in money and business needs words like money owned, money owed, profits paid to owners, or cost of borrowing money. These are not just fancy words. They are the basic pieces for talking about money. These special words, called money and business words, are the exact words and phrases used in the world of money, banks, and business. This includes words in reports about money, words used when banks do things, words for buying and selling things to make money, and words to understand news about the economy. Knowing these special words is like having a secret code that helps you understand and do well in jobs about money. It is the difference between watching from the outside and being a part of it. Why is this so important, especially if you want a job in money and business? Think about what you do each day. You might need to read a report about a company's money. These papers have special words that tell you how well a company is doing. If you do not know what money made per share means or what total sales and profit really mean, the report is just a confusing mix of numbers. You will not understand what the numbers are trying to say. Also, when you are in a meeting and people are talking about market changes or easy access to cash, you need to know these words to join the talk or even just to understand. You will feel more sure of yourself, your ideas will be more helpful, and you will have more chances to move up. Let's think about Sarah. Sarah was smart and wanted to start her career at a bank. She had a good general education, but when she started her first job helping out, she felt lost. Her coworkers would talk about handling a loan request, checking a customer's credit rating, or talking about the cost to borrow money for a new savings account. Sarah would nod, smile, and try to figure it out, but often she felt like a piece of the puzzle was missing. She would spend her evenings looking up words she heard during the day, feeling both upset and determined. One day, her boss was explaining a new product that involved loans to companies or governments and payments to owners. Sarah knew she could not just guess anymore. She decided to learn these special money words. She bought a small book of words, started reading money news with a marker, and politely asked her coworkers for help. Slowly, things became clearer. She started to understand the talks. Then she could guess what was needed for certain jobs. Her work became faster, and she felt more confident. Soon, she was not only doing her helping jobs, but also understanding the bigger picture, which led to her being thought of for a more important job in the department that handles investments. Sarah's story is not the only one. It shows how powerful it is to know money and business words. Knowing these words well is not just about remembering what they mean. It is about understanding when and how to use them, the small differences between words that sound alike, and how these words are used in real money situations. For example, the word asset in everyday talk can mean something you own. But in money and business, it has a very clear meaning, something a company or person owns that has value and can be used to make money later or be sold. Also, liability is not just a problem, it is money that a company or person owes to others. Knowing these exact meanings is the first step to understanding how healthy a company's money situation is, which is shown on a report called a balance sheet. These special words are the lifeblood of talking about money. They make things clear and exact. Imagine trying to explain a complicated plan for making money without using words like group of investments, handling risk, or spreading investments. You would use unclear descriptions that could cause big mistakes. The world of money and business uses these words to make sure everyone, from a new worker to the top boss, understands the same thing. This shared language makes things less confusing, reduces mistakes, and helps people make better choices. Let's look at some of the main areas where these special words are used. When we talk about investment words, we mean the language used when people put their money into something hoping to make more money. Think about stocks, which mean you own a part of a company, or bonds, which are like loans you give to a government or company. You might hear about dividends, which are payments a company makes to people who own its stock, or the difference between an asset what you own and a liability what you owe. Then there are bank words. This is the language of the places that keep, lend, and manage money. When you hear about a loan, it is money borrowed that must be paid back, usually with extra money. A deposit is money you put into a bank account. The interest rate is the cost of borrowing money or the reward for saving it. Collateral is something valuable offered as security for a loan, and a credit score is a number that shows how likely you are to pay back borrowed money. And we cannot forget economy words. These words help us understand the big picture of how money works in a country or the world. Inflation is when prices generally go up, so your money buys less. A recession is when the economy slows down a lot. GDP, gross domestic product, is the total value of things made and services provided in a country. The market is where buyers and sellers meet to trade things like stocks or goods, and currency is the money used in a particular country. The reason these words are so specific is not to make things hard, but to make them clear. In money and business, a small change in words can mean a big change in meaning and result. When a bank talks about a loan with security, it means the loan is protected by collateral. If it is a loan without security, it is not. This difference is very important for understanding the risk. Also, in the stock market, the difference between a bull market prices are generally going up and a bear market prices are generally going down tells you a lot about how people feel about the economy. For someone who wants a job in money and business, learning these words is not just about passing a job interview, it is about building a strong base for your whole career. It directly helps you do tasks in a money-related job by giving you the tools to understand instructions, read information, and talk clearly. If you are asked to make a report on a company's cash flow, you need to know what cash flow means: the movement of money into and out of a business. Without this knowledge, you cannot even start the job. If you are asked to look at a customer's liquidity, you need to understand this means how easily a company can pay its short-term debts. This understanding lets you do your work correctly and quickly, making you a valuable person on any team. Think of it this way. If you were learning to be a cook, you would not just learn to cut things. You would learn about cutting into long thin strips, cutting into small cubes, and cutting into very small pieces, each a special way of cutting that changes the final food. Money and business English words are the same. They give you the exact action words, naming words, and describing words needed to cook up successful money results. This journey into the special words of money and business might seem hard at first, like learning a new language. But remember Sarah's story. With hard work and the right way of learning, what seems difficult becomes manageable and then, wonderfully, clear. Each new word you learn is like adding another key to your keychain, a key that unlocks a deeper understanding and opens more chances. So, we have shown why these special words are so important. They are the main way money and business is talked about, the exact tools that allow for clear speaking, correct looking at information, and finally, success in your job. Now that we understand how important these special words are, the next step is to start making our own list of words. We will begin by looking at some of the most basic money and business words you will see every day, turning those confusing sounds and symbols into familiar, powerful ideas. 3. Using finance words in action. Maria held her new work ID tight. Her stomach felt a little jumpy. Her first day at Global Financial Solutions was exciting, but also a bit scary. She had studied a lot, but the office talked in a way that felt both familiar and new. Her boss, Mr. Davies, gave her a stack of papers. "Maria," he said, "look at these reports from the last 3 months. I want you to see how we did, especially our money coming in and our total profit. Tell me if anything seems important." Maria nodded, trying to look sure of herself. But when she opened the first paper, a lot of new words came at her. Money coming in, she knew that word from everyday life. It meant money you got. But here, it was with other numbers, like the direct cost of what we sold and the money spent to run the business. What did it really mean here? And total profit? Was that the same as just profit? The numbers blurred. This was when the book's main idea became clear. Learning special English words for money stuff wasn't just about knowing what they meant. It was about understanding the story the numbers told, and that story was key to her job. This is where knowing money words for business really makes sense. It's not just a list of words. It's a special code that opens up the world of money, banks, and business. Think about trying to read a recipe without knowing what bake, cook slowly, or mixto means. You might guess, but you wouldn't make a perfect cake. Money English is like that. It gives you the exact words to understand money reports, what banks do, how buying and selling things for growth works, and the news that shapes our money world. Without this code, you're stuck outside, trying hard to figure out what's happening. Let's watch Maria as she goes through her first week. It will show how learning these special words changes how she feels and what she can do. From paper to knowing, seeing the numbers talk. Mr. Davies asked Maria to look at the reports from the last 3 months. The first report she opened was a list of what the company owns and owes. It looked like a picture of the company's money health on one day. She saw words like what the company owns, what the company owes, and what belongs to the owners. Okay, she thought. What the company owns are things we have, like buildings and cash. What the company owes are things we must pay to others like loans. And what belongs to the owners is what's left after paying debts. This difference was very important. Just knowing what we own as stuff wasn't enough. Here, it meant specific things the company controlled that had money value. Then came the report of how much money we made and spent. Mr. Davies explained this report showed how the company did over a time, like 3 months. This is where money coming in was very important. Maria learned that money coming in, sometimes called sales, is all the money a company gets from selling its things or services before any costs are taken out. So, if Global Financial Solutions helped 100 people and charged each $1,000, the money coming in would be $100,000. That was easy. But the money report didn't end there. It went on to the direct cost of what we sold. For a bank, this wasn't about physical things, but the costs directly tied to giving it services. Maybe it was the cost of the computer systems that let people use their accounts, or the pay for the people who directly helped customers. Then came money left after direct costs, which is just money coming in minus the direct cost of what we sold. This showed how much money was left after paying for the most direct things needed to do business. Next were the money spent to run the business. These were the daily costs of running the company that weren't directly tied to making a specific thing or service. Think about the rent for the office, The money spent on ads and the pay for people who help with office tasks, like Mr. Davies and, soon, Maria herself. When these were taken away from the money left after direct costs, you got the money made from running the business. Finally, after thinking about things like paying for loans and taxes, you got to the total profit. This was the final number, the actual profit the company made after all costs were paid. Maria saw that money coming in was just the start. Understanding total profit gave a much clearer idea of how well the company was really doing. The question here is deep. How does using special money words like money coming in, money left after direct costs, and total profit, instead of just saying money earned or money made, lead to clearer understanding and fewer mistakes in money matters? The answer is in being exact. Money earned could mean many things, but money coming in has a meaning everyone in business agrees on: the total money from sales before anything is taken out. Total profit clearly means the final profit after all costs. This exactness stops confusion, making sure everyone reading the report sees the same money picture. It's like using a map with exact street names instead of a blurry drawing of a neighborhood. For Maria, knowing these words meant she could talk accurately about how the company was doing with Mr. Davies, not just saying we made money, but our money coming in grew by 10%, but our money spent to run the business also went up, so our total profit went down a little. This level of detail is what makes money talk work well. Bank jobs explained. The words of daily money moves. Maria's job was more than just reports. She also helped customers at the front desk. Her first few times were a bit awkward. A customer asked about starting a money-saving account, and Maria, not sure, just pointed to the papers. Another wanted to know about a request for a loan, and Maria felt a rush of fear, not knowing what information was needed. Then she started to notice the everyday words. The people at the counters talked about handling money put in and money taken out. When a customer wanted to borrow money, they talked about a loan. The bank had different kinds of loans: a personal loan for one person's needs, a loan for a house, and a business loan for companies. Each loan had an interest cost, which was how much it cost to borrow money, usually shown as a part of 100. Maria learned that a higher interest cost meant the person borrowing would pay back more money over time. Customers often cared about the total yearly cost, which included the interest cost plus any fees, showing the true cost of the loan. When people put money into the bank, it was a deposit. When they took money out, it was a withdrawal. These were simple words, but in a bank, they had specific meanings for managing accounts. A checking account was for everyday spending, while a savings account was for putting money aside to earn a little bit of interest. Maria also learned about extra charges. Banks often charged extra for some services, like using a cash machine from another bank, or for having an account with not much money in it. Knowing these words helped her answer customer questions with more confidence. When a customer asked, "What is the charge for a check that bounces?" Maria could now explain it was an account overdrawn charge, charged when you spend more money than you have in your account. The real help for someone like Maria who works with money, when she can correctly understand and use money words in her daily work, is huge. She's not guessing anymore. She can understand a customer asking for a loan with a steady interest cost and know it means a loan where the interest cost stays the same for the whole time of the loan. She can explain the difference between a loan where interest is only on the original amount and a loan where interest is on the original amount plus any interest already added. This builds trust with customers and makes her a more valuable worker. When Mr. Davies asked her to help get ready for a meeting about loan decisions, Maria knew this was a group in the bank that looked at and approved loan requests, and she could help by getting the right papers and understanding the main words being talked about. Investment words made clear. Talking about growing and risks. As Maria got used to her job, she started hearing more talk about investments. Her coworkers talked about the market for company shares, buying shares, which are small parts of owning a company, and bonds, which are like loans you give to a company or government. The idea of a collection of investments came up often. This wasn't for school, it was all the investments a person or company owned. Maria learned that people try to make a varied collection of investments to spread out risk. If one investment goes down, others might go up, helping to balance things. When a company made a profit, it might share some of that profit with the people who own its shares. This payment was called a share payment. Maria saw how this word was important when looking at how much you might get back from owning a share. The market itself had its own language. When prices were mostly going up, it was called a strong market. People were hopeful and buying more. When prices were mostly going down, it was a weak market. People were more careful in selling. These colorful words helped paint a picture of how people felt and where the market was going. Maria also learned about how much risk someone can handle. This was how much risk an investor was willing to take. Some people were happy with slow, steady growth and low risk, while others were okay with more risk for the chance of bigger rewards. Knowing this helped her see why different people chose different investments. A fast-growing share, for example, was a share in a company expected to grow quickly, often with more risk. A share that seemed too cheap, on the other hand, was a share that looked like the market didn't value it enough, maybe a safer choice. Being able to understand and use these words, like share, bond, collection of investments, share payment, strong market, and weak market, isn't just about sounding smart. It's about making good choices. For Maria, it meant she could start to understand the money news she saw on TV and read online. She could understand why the news might say, the market reacted well to the company's strong profit report, making its share price go up. This was no longer just a mix of words. It was a clear statement about how a company did and how it affected the value of owning it. Money news made clear, understanding the big picture beyond the company and investments. Maria saw that the money world was closely linked to the larger economy. News reports often talked about prices going up. This meant that prices for things and services were generally rising, so your money bought less than before. When prices were going up a lot, people worried about how much they could buy. Then there was the total value of everything made in a country. This was the total money value of all things and services made in a country over a certain time. A growing total value usually meant the economy was getting bigger and doing well. A shrinking total value could mean a slowdown. The number of people without jobs was another important sign. It showed the part of people who were looking for work but couldn't find it. A low number of people without jobs usually meant a healthy economy. Big money groups, like the main bank in a country, played a huge part. They used money control methods, actions like changing interest costs or printing more money, to try and control prices going up and keep the economy steady. Maria learned that when the main bank raised interest costs, it made borrowing more expensive, which could help slow down prices going up. On the other hand, lowering interest costs made borrowing cheaper, encouraging spending and economic growth. These words, prices going up, total value of everything made in a country, number of people without jobs, money control methods, are not just ideas. They directly affect businesses, people, and the value of investments. When Maria understood these words, she could see how a government's decision on interest costs might affect how much a new home buyer pays for a loan, or how rising prices going up could affect how much profit the companies whose shares Global Financial Solutions managed made. The question, what are the real benefits for someone who works with money when they can correctly understand and use money words in their daily work, is answered by Maria's growing ability. She's not just a beginner anymore. She's becoming an active part of things. She can understand why Mr. Davies makes the choices he does, help in team talks, and even start to think about her own money future with more clarity. She can read a money newspaper and understand not just the main headlines, but what the economic trends being reported mean. This understanding builds confidence, which is the base of 4. Understanding economic news. The world of money has its own special way of talking. It uses specific words that might seem new at first. These words are like keys to unlock how money works. We call this special language financial English words. It means the exact words and phrases used for money, banks, and business. You'll see these words in money reports, in what banks say, when people buy and sell things like stocks, and in news about the economy. Knowing these words is like having a secret code to understand what's happening and to do well in jobs about money. You hear about the economy often. It's on the news and in talks. News about the economy is for everyone, not just people and banks. It affects us all. The cost of things we buy, the jobs we can find, and the value of our savings are all tied to the economy. If you want to work in finance, understanding this news is very important. It's like trying to find your way in a big city without a map. You might get there, but it's harder, and you might miss the best path. Learning the specific English words for economic news is your map. It shows you what's happening and how it can affect your job and future. Why isn't regular English enough? Because the economy is a big, complex system. It needs clear words to explain its parts and how they work together. Simple words don't always tell the whole story. For example, when you hear inflation, it's not just about prices going up a little. It means prices are going up a lot, and your money buys less. This word tells us something important about how a country's economy is doing. Also, gross domestic product, or GDP, is not just a number. It's the total value of everything made in a country in a certain time. When GDP goes up, it usually means the economy is growing, which is good for jobs and businesses. Without knowing these exact words, economic news can sound confusing. Let's look at a common example. Imagine a news headline, "Economy slows down." This sounds worrying, but what does it really mean? Is it a small problem or a big one? Without the right financial English, it's hard to know. But if you know the words, you can read more and understand if it's a slowdown when the economy grows less fast, or maybe a recession when the economy shrinks for a while. These two words sound alike, but mean different things and show different levels of trouble. A recession is a more serious issue. It usually means the economy has been getting smaller for at least 6 months. This can cause people to lose jobs, businesses to close, and people to spend less money. A downturn, on the other hand, is a more general word for a time when the economy isn't growing fast or is shrinking a little. It might not be as bad or last as long as a recession. So knowing the difference between recession and downturn is very important. One might make you worry about your job, while the other might just mean a slower time for businesses. This is where financial English words help the most. They give you the exact words to understand the exact situation. Another pair of words people often mix up are bull market and bear market. These describe the general direction of the stock market. In a bull market, stock prices usually go up over time. People feel hopeful, and investors often buy stocks, hoping to sell them later for more money. The name bull is like how a bull attacks, pushing its horns up. In a bear market, stock prices usually go down. Investors might feel worried, and many sell stocks to avoid losing more money. The name bear is thought to come from how a bear attacks, swiping its paws down. So, when you read that the market is bullish or bearish, you know right away if investors are feeling good and prices are likely to rise, or if they are feeling bad and prices are likely to fall. This simple language helps you understand the mood and direction of the money world. Let's think about how knowing these words helps you make better choices. Imagine you're reading about interest rates. If you see interest rates are rising, and you know what that means, you know it will cost more to borrow money, like for a car or a house. For businesses, higher interest rates mean it costs them more to borrow money to grow. This can slow their growth and affect their stock prices. But if you have savings in a bank, rising interest rates might mean you earn more money on your savings. So, one phrase in an economic report, when understood with financial English words, can directly affect your own money and how you understand companies. Think about unemployment figures. When you see this in the news, it's not just a number. It's a key sign of how well the economy is doing. Low unemployment, meaning few people are out of work, usually shows a healthy economy where businesses are hiring. This can lead to people spending more and the economy growing. High unemployment, however, shows the economy might be having trouble with fewer jobs. For someone looking for a finance job, knowing these numbers helps them see the job market. If unemployment is going up, it might be a time to be more careful in your job search or look at jobs in areas that are strong even when the economy is weak. If unemployment is going down, it means the job market is better and there might be more chances for your career to grow. Let's meet a person to help explain this. Her name is Anya. Anya is smart and wants to start a career in finance. She studies a lot, but when she reads financial news, she often feels lost. One day, she reads about the central bank deciding to tighten monetary policy. The article says this is to stop runaway inflation. Anya feels confused. What does tighten monetary policy mean? And what is runaway inflation? And how is it different from normal inflation? She remembers the book said financial English words are important. She looks up monetary policy. She learns it's how a country's central bank controls the amount of money and credit to affect the economy. Tightening it means they are trying to slow the economy to control rising prices. This includes things like raising interest rates. Then she looks up runaway inflation. She knows inflation means prices are going up, but runaway means prices are going up very fast and are hard to stop. This is a big problem that can make people's savings worth less and make it hard for businesses to plan. Suddenly, the news article makes sense. The central bank is raising interest rates to try and slow the economy, hoping this will stop prices from going up so fast. Anya realizes that knowing these specific words, monetary policy, tighten, runaway inflation, turned a confusing report into a clear picture of what the economy is doing and why. She feels more confident. She didn't just read words. She understood what they meant and what they would do. This understanding will help her in her career. Another example is market volatility. When news talks about increased market volatility, it means that the prices of things like stocks or bonds are changing a lot and in ways you can't easily guess. This can happen when the market is uncertain, maybe because of world events, surprising economic news, or changes in how investors feel. For someone in finance, knowing about market volatility is key to managing risk. High volatility means prices can change suddenly and by a lot, which can be both a chance and a danger. Knowing this word helps Anya understand why investors might be worried or why some investments might be seen as riskier. Right now, it's not just about prices going up or down, it's about how they are moving, fast and without clear direction. Being able to understand these words is what makes someone go from just reading about finance to truly being part of it. When you understand words like quantitative easing, fiscal stimulus, exchange rates, or balance sheet, you can move from just hearing economic news to truly knowing how it affects things. You can start to see how government spending fiscal stimulus might change the economy, or how the value of one country's money compared to another exchange rates can affect buying and selling between countries. You can also understand how healthy a company is financially by looking at its balance sheet, which shows what the company owns, what it owes, and what belongs to its owners at a certain time. This ability to understand is not just about passing a test or impressing others. It's about giving yourself power. When you can read an economic report and know what GDP growth is slowing means for job chances, or how interest rates are expected to rise might affect your home loan payments, you make better choices in your own life. At work, this understanding means you can help more in meetings, understand your coworkers better, and see the bigger picture of how your company and its industry are doing. It builds confidence, which is very valuable in any job, especially in finance. Think about how confident Anya felt after understanding the central bank's actions. That feeling is a strong reason to keep learning. It makes the confusing world of finance seem more manageable and exciting. The more financial English words you learn and use, the more normal they become. The difficult words start to sound like everyday talk, and you begin to see how different economic events are connected and what causes them. Going from confusion to understanding is the main goal of mastering financial English. The most important thing to remember is that economic news, even though it seems hard, can be understood by learning its special language. Every word, from inflation to GDP to market volatility, is a piece of a bigger picture. By learning these pieces, the financial English words, you can see the whole picture, understand what's shaping our money world, and move forward in your career with more certainty and success. Now that we've seen how important it is to understand economic news, the next step is to use this knowledge with the papers you'll see every day. We will move from reading about the economy to actually looking closely at the financial reports that guide business decisions. Conclusion: you have reached the end of this book. This journey was about learning the right words for money jobs. We learned that the language of money is very important. It helps you understand things like money reports, banks, and news about the economy. We learned about words like money we own assets, money we owe liabilities, payments to owners dividends, and cost of borrowing interest rates. Knowing these words helps you read money papers better. We also learned about deals, transactions, borrowing money loans, and following rules regulatory compliance. These are important for working with banks. The most important thing we learned is about special words for money. When you know these special words, you will feel more sure of yourself and be better at any job that deals with money. Think about how clear it is when you understand a company's money report. When you know the difference between money made revenue and money left over profit, or what EBITDA means, you are not just reading words. You understand how well the company is doing. This helps you make good choices. In the fast world of money, using the right words is very important. When you use the correct money words, people will understand you, listen to your ideas, and think your help is valuable. Whether you were talking about investing, explaining a bank product, or showing your work, knowing special words for money will make you stand out. Knowing these words also makes you feel more confident. When you can talk about what's happening in the market, explain tricky money ideas, or show you understand economic signs, people will see you as an expert. This confidence is a great help in any job. If you want to be someone who studies money, works at a bank, keeps track of money, or helps people with their money, knowing and using special words for money will give you an advantage. The special words for money you learned here are not just for school. They are tools to help you get good jobs and do well in your career. The best way to learn is to use what you learn. When you go back to your job, look for chances to use the money words you learned. Read money news more closely, listen to people talk about money with better understanding, and don't be afraid to use the right words when you speak or write. The world of money is always changing. New trends, new products, and new rules appear often. Think of this book as a good start, not the end. Keep reading about money. Follow good money news, learn new things, and always be curious about new words. By always learning about special words for money, you will stay up to date and be valuable in this changing field. Imagine being able to show your money analysis with confidence, make a good deal, or give expert advice because you understand the language of money well. Your path in the money world is now easier and brighter. This book was made to be your key. It's your key to understanding, your key to talking well, and your key to finding great jobs in finance. You are now better ready than before to handle the complex world of finance. Believe in what you have learned and the skills you have gained. The money world is important for economies and helps things grow. By learning its language, you are getting ready to help this important area. Go forward with confidence, using your better understanding of special words for money. The world of money jobs is waiting and you are ready to make your mark. Thank you for learning with us. We hope you have much success and happiness in your money career. You can now speak the language of money.